republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Jennifer, Ms. Claire, please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we gather together this evening seeking guidance, wisdom, and support. Be with us in our deliberations and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. On this Valentine's Day, bless our families, staff, and students with the gifts of love, kindness, and respect. Give us grace to share these gifts with others. Lord, we bring before you these prayers and the prayers we hold silently in our hearts. We ask all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Would you roll call, please?
Mr. Newsom.
Here.
Mr. Riley.
Here.
Mrs. Rowland. Mrs. Troop. Mrs. Zimmerstein.
Here. And then we have some words from Shelley. Eric, please.
Yes, I would like to address the board and our viewers tonight. We are missing someone from our panel tonight. Our longtime school attorney, Gary Bracken, passed away a couple of weeks ago, and he has served on this board as the board's attorney for 26 years. Gary went to high school in Kansas and has his Juris Doctor from the University of Kansas, and he was so involved in our community. He was a Rotarian, a Mason, a member of the Chamber of Commerce. He was highly intelligent, a member of Mensa. And he will be greatly missed. Gary enjoyed lots of things in life, but I think what he enjoyed most was collectibles. He loved collecting, whether it be antiques or coins. Funny story, one time I got a message from him and it was a picture. He said, "Oh, that picture wasn't meant for you." And I thought, uh-oh, what's this? And it was collectible money. So I said, ooh, that's awesome. He was a collector of all things. He loved to garden and he loved to do landscaping and he loved PCPS. So if we could take just a few seconds of silence for Gary, I would greatly appreciate it.
We will start with presentation of Employment of the Month and Friends of Education. Our certified employee of the month is Angela Hamlin. She's our district psychologist. If you could please come up.
Angela Hamlin has long been a reliable, steadfast resource for Ponca City Public Schools and currently serves as the only school psychologist for our entire district. While the district continues to seek additional support in this role, it has been difficult to fill based on the specific certification and training it requires. This reality leaves Angela to carry out multiple responsibilities and duties suited for multiple practitioners, yet she dutifully presses on year after year, being ever mindful of the responsibilities she carries. Her dedication shows as she works diligently to meet timelines set by district, state, and federal regulations, even if it means putting in extra time after hours and on weekends. Angela is a team player. She has a positive attitude and provides encouragement and support to others on a regular basis. Her desire to serve and support is evident in the thoughtfulness she displays towards others. Angela is an asset to Ponca City Public Schools and is extremely deserving of this recognition as Certified Employee of the Month.
Great job. Thank you. Our next is the Support Employee of the Month, Michelle Wickham from Title I Teacher's Assistant.
Michelle.
She looks so pretty tonight. It's an honor to present Michelle Wickham with the February Support Employee of the Month Award. Mrs. Wickham is a Title I assistant at Ian Trout Elementary. Mrs. Wickham wears many hats at Trout. She's a fantastic interventionist. Currently, she is teaching the intervention classes while Mrs. Jackson is on maternity leave. She helps others throughout the building with sight word lists, small reading groups, challenging students to meet their AR goals, and loves to help with math facts. Students like working with her and seek her out for approval for many things. In addition to her teaching duties, you can catch Mrs. Wickham helping students work through behavior issues. She is a mother to a terrific 5th grader, and she brings those nurturing qualities to work every day. Mrs. Wickham is quick to step in and help when staff members are absent. She is extremely helpful during lunch and recess duties. Michelle seeks out what needs to be done and takes the initiative to complete it. With her positive attitude, Michelle is often asked to train new assistants. She does all this with a smile on her face. Mrs. Wickham is a tremendous asset to our school. We're extremely thankful to have her as part of our Trout family. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you. Next is our Friends of Education, Phillips 66, supporter of PCPS, Aaron Liberton.
Yes. Well, they never second guess. They're like, I'm here, crutches and all. Crutches and all. Garfield Elementary and Ponca City Public Schools would like to give the Friend of Education Award to Phillips 66. Phillips 66 goes above and beyond for Garfield Elementary. Having the multiple groups at Phillips that help each grade level has been amazing. The retirees show up for our kindergarten and help them read, which they love doing. Phillips 66 also gave our students an amazing winter celebration, and I can't even begin to state. They are always finding more ways to help our students and our staff, and we are very grateful for all they do.
Thank you. We'll do a picture outside. If you guys like to join. Thank you. Appreciate you. Good to see your families happy. Thank God. Do you girls want to go and take pictures of your mom?
Yeah. You're welcome to
You're well, yes. We're so fun and entertaining. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So next would be our public comments, and we do have a gentleman, Mr. Zach Murray, coming to talk about 7.2, which is our district calendar for the coming up year.
Good evening. I know all the board knows who I am, but for the record, my name is Zach Murray. I'm president of the Association of Classroom Teachers. And one of the items you're looking at this evening is the proposed 2022-2023 calendar. And I want to say on behalf of pretty much all the teachers I've talked to, and I would say probably most of those, if not all of them in the district, we love this calendar. It's probably one of the best ones we've had since I've been in Ponca City, and this is year 15 for me. We appreciate the knocking off a few more of the contract days, looking at we already go longer than those districts around us. The week-long Thanksgiving break is nice, especially for our teachers and staff who may have family out of state where travel is difficult with just the normal 3 days. But probably the best thing on this one is the extra PD day at the beginning of the year for the state-required training, because that takes forever, and we don't have time to do that during our normal day. That alone, I think, sold it for just about everyone. So we thank you for the support you have for our teachers and staff, and I would just encourage you to approve the calendar when we get to that part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. What's not to love about that calendar? Best one I've seen in 37 years.
It almost makes me want to come back.
Judy, you can't be a board member, so.
I know.
We'll take it.
Okay, we're going to go on to superintendent's report with potential board discussion. It'll be about legislative and COVID-19 updates.
Okay, so as you know, the second regular session of the 58th legislature has kicked off, and for the record, superintendents and school people did not do a lot of advocating at the Capitol last year because the Capitol was closed due to COVID. So we felt that our presence was missed, and we will be making making up lost time, and we've already been on it. As you know, the legislature convened last Monday at 12 noon. March 3rd is the last day for a bill to be heard in the committee of the House of Origin, so important date. March 24th, just after spring break, is the last day for a bill to be heard in the House of Origin. And then April 14th, bills must be through committees of opposite house. April 28th is the last day for a bill to be heard in the opposite house. And then May 27th is the last day of session. So there are like 358 proposed bills that pertain to education. And I want to give you just some highlights of Governor Stitt's State of the State address, which happened on last Monday. He pledged to support any legislation that gives parents more school choice and funds students, not systems. He also mentioned and praised the Oklahoma Empowerment Act bill filed by Senate Pro Tem Greg Treat. And this ensures money follows students if they are private or homeschooled. And I'm going to talk to you about those bills in just a bit. He also names roadblocks in state laws creating artificial barriers that do not put our children first. And one of these is to modernize the school transportation formula. And I don't know exactly how that's going to look, but we receive a portion of funds in our foundation aid based on our average daily haul from the previous year. This year we received about $147,000. It's usually more than that, but if you'll remember, our enrollment was down last year due to our virtual school and to COVID. So we expect to get more. We do not know how that's going to be changed. He also mentioned matching funds so that our best teachers stay in the classroom rather than going into administration. A lot of our teachers, best teachers, go into administration to make more money. And he mentioned that they could be making up to 6 figures, so we're really excited that he acknowledged that our teachers need some more money, and we are anxious to know how that is going to be funded. And he also said that unions should be opt-in, not opt-out. So right now, if you're a member of a union, our teachers have to opt-out rather than opt-in. He says they ought to be able to opt-in. So we'll see how that works out. That was legislation. Was that just last year? Or was it 2 years ago?
It was last year, but unions already opt in. You're not automatically a member when you join
Yes,
the profession. So it's
that's right.
already opt-in, and you can drop at any time.
So here are some hot topics with the legislation this school session that's keeping funds in public schools. And public schools are so in support of this. And I will tell you, I appreciate our private schools and I appreciate our homeschool children. They all become wildcats. A lot of times our private schools become wildcats, but our public schools are funded with public dollars. So that's something that all school people, public school people will be advocating for. Something that's very important to all of us is combating the teacher shortage. And guys, for as long as I've been superintendent or HR, I say we're struggling hiring teachers. I am getting concerned. I've given you some statistics before. The number of openings in Oklahoma this past year more than doubled the education graduates from Oklahoma institutions. So we've got to do something to combat the teacher shortage. I'm not going to read this to you word for word, but there are 2 Senate bills that are going to be heard in the Senate Education Committee tomorrow. And these are voucher bills. These are Senate Bill 1583 and 1647. These are both authored by Senator Greg Treat. And each voucher would be worth about $5,800 and would go to follow the student to a private school or be paid if they were homeschooled to buy materials for homeschool. The other part of this bill mentions that if they're an F school, students can transfer to any school. And you may know that our state testing was waived 2 years ago due to COVID, and report cards were waived again last year. So who knows what's going to happen this year. But here's really what I want to tell you. Right now, there are 30,000 students in Oklahoma who attend private schools or who are homeschooled. And at the very minimum, if these these vouchers did not take any further kids out of our public schools, it would be more than $174 million annually that currently go to public schools that would go to private schools or homeschools. So, and they say that 174 million is a conservative estimate. And I want to talk to you a little bit about why public school advocates are opponents of vouchers. As you know, public dollars require accountability. We are audited to the T. You know our audit reports. Our auditor comes in every single year, and our audits are squeaky clean. And that makes a lot of people unhappy sometimes because school finance is very particular, and we have to impose these rules, but we want to make sure that we're transparent with our public funds and that our audits are 100% perfect. The state has very few regulations for governing private schools or homeschools. They do not get audited. With our Title I funds, we give a portion of our Title I dues required by law of our Title I funds to our private schools. They are not audited. We are responsible for how they spend their money. It comes back to us. And Monique and Terry really work with our private schools to make sure they stay compliant, because if they're not in compliance with spending their funds, it falls back on us, not the private school. Only public schools choose all children, and that's how we want it to be. Any child that walks through these doors, we will take them. Whether they are a behavior issue, special education services, the brightest kid on the planet, we want them all. Even if they're foster kids, homeless kids, we love our kids and we want them all. In a private school, they choose which kids come to school. And usually at the end of the year, they let parents know who gets to come back. Public school choice abounds, and there are tons of public school choices, even within our own school. We have Ponca City Virtual Academy within our own school. We have Wildcat Academy. We have concurrent enrollment. We have the SHARE program. We have kids that go to Pioneer Tech. We have Teach PC now that's recruiting teachers. So there's EPIC. EPIC is a public school. So there are tons of school choices. And if you remember, just last year, the legislature passed the Open Transfer Act, and that began on January 1 of 2022. So we want them to give that a chance, okay? Kids can transfer anywhere they want to go. So that hasn't even been in play a year. I got ahead of myself. There we go. There's that. And this is something that the Oklahoma Constitution states: the legislature shall establish and maintain a system of free public schools wherein all the children of the state may be educated. Now, it says may be educated, but it mentions nothing of diverting state funds by offering vouchers for private schools or homeschools. So some say this could be an application of the Oklahoma Constitution. So with that said, in the meantime, since those bills came out, Speaker Charles McCall, Republican from Atoka, mentioned in a press conference on Thursday, just this past Thursday, it lit up Twitter. It took front and center in many news stories that the House will not hear or pass the voucher bills. And House Speaker says school voucher bill won't get a hearing. That was in U.S. News. In the Tulsa World, the State House Speaker says chamber won't hear school voucher bill. In the Oklahoman, McCall, no plan to hear private school voucher bill. And the U.S. News report quoted Senator McCall. He, speaking of Senator Treat, is a suburban Oklahoma guy. I'm a rural Oklahoman. We see things through the lens of our individual districts. The Oklahoma quoted Senate Pro Tempore Treat's response: nothing will stop me from persisting. So we're going to closely monitor this issue. I have already reached out to Senator Coleman and has a lot of our staff, because I email them weekly and keep them updated. Can't tell them how to respond, but just what the issues are. Senator Coleman texted me Thursday night after this came out and was sharing this information, and he said that don't let up, and I said, don't worry, I won't. So he also told me that Senator Treat said vote with your district, so we'll see how this plays out. It hasn't got out of the Senate Education Committee last week. So here's what I'm going to tell you, what happened in the Senate Education Committee last week. It's been pretty busy. Senate Bill 703 provides 12 weeks of paid maternity leave for teachers. Guys, that's a lot of leave. That is 3 months. And this would be paid leave and would not take away from their current sick leave. Currently, teachers build up sick leave, then they have cost of sub for 20 days, and then if they're in the sick bank, that can be used for maternity leave. A lot of our moms and dads, for that matter, take off for anywhere from 3 to 12 weeks.
Doesn't Senate Bill 703 also refer to spouses needing it also?
Paternity, yes. Yep, spouses
Husbands
too.
who
Yeah,
are-
yes.
Also,
Or if the children are adopted, if you adopt a child, that would pertain as well. Senate Bill 1112 expands to include support employee students as a transfer outside of capacity. Remember, with the new transfer rule, you have to have capacity, discipline issues, or attendance issues. It's already in statute that a teacher of a district can transfer their child in the district with them without having to abide by the capacity limits. It was just an oversight in the law. Support employees should be able to do that too. So that's what Senate Bill 112 does. Senate Bill 1191 creates a principal leadership program. So once we hire a principal, they would go through a mentorship program. We do that a lot anyway with our own principals, but this would be one set up by the SDE. Senate Bill 1429 removes the OGAT for a master's degree teacher candidate who is alternatively certified, which is the Oklahoma General Education Test. Senate Bill 1618 requires the State Department to develop a website for district employment vacancies, and there are all kinds of websites that we use. OSSBA has one, we have one, we use School Spring, we use teachers.com. But this would be one set up by the State Department. And then Senate Bill 1630 would require districts to conduct exit interviews to find out why the employee is leaving, what changes could be made in the district to keep them from leaving. We do this already, and I would be glad to share that information to you. We learn things from that exit interview all the time. We do face-to-face exit interviews. Last year we did a online survey because of COVID, but we'll get back to face-to-face interviews, and a lot of people will tell you things as they're leaving, and we've learned a lot of good things from our exit interviews. So that's a practice we all already follow. This is what happened in House A and B subcommittee last week. House Bill 3564, McBride out of Moore directs the Oklahoma State Regents of Higher Ed to establish and maintain an incentive scholarship program and teacher employment incentive program. We don't know the details yet. And then House Bill 3565, this is also from McBride, provides a 1,000 one-time bonus for classroom teachers. And I cannot find in the law what this is for. Do you guys know anything specific, Zach? It's just a one-time $1,000 bonus, and you have to be a teacher of record. A class has to be assigned to you.
I don't know any other on it.
There is nothing that says what that's
It's
for. It's just-
one that OEA hasn't sent out to members a lot of, because they've mainly been focusing on the voucher bills, more so.
So have we in our group,
Yeah.
so we'll have a legislative update on Wednesday, and maybe I'll find out more about that. Okay, so advocacy in our district, we participate in COSA legislative briefings every Wednesday beginning February 9th, and we participated last week. We also get alerts from COSA and OSSBA, and you all probably get the alerts from OSSBA about when to advocate. It's offered in Zoom, but I will be there and attend when I'm available. Last week, I had Leadership Ponca City and Adam Leeming attended on my behalf, so someone will attend. Senate Education Committee meetings are every Tuesday at 10 a.m. House Common Education Committee meetings are at 10:30 a.m. on Tuesdays. And then I have a personal communication with our local legislatures, Senator Coleman, Representative Luttrell, and then Representative Ty Burns, who used to be a teacher. He'll call me or I'll call him. And then even though Representative John Pfeiffer is not exactly in my district, we still communicate quite a bit. And I send our teachers a weekly email with any kind of updates or any kind of urgency and let them decide what to do. Our OEA, ACT has association leave. Members of our own ACT will utilize association leave to advocate at the Capitol. And did you tell me twice in March and twice in April?
Yes.
Coming up. So Zach and Amy Meggie have already attended. So they were there for the State of the State address. Okay, and then we have weekly legislative updates. And here's what I told our employees to do and for you to do too. Stay informed. No platforms, no proposed bills, and I'll try to keep you updated in the memo that I send you and at board meetings and at committee meetings. Stay engaged, contact your legislators, attend political forums. There's going to be a political forum on Friday, February 25th with Senator Coleman and Representative Luttrell, and we will be there. We'll encourage everyone to vote in local, state, and national levels. And here's what we tell our staff. Tell your story. When teachers give examples of how legislation will affect them, their classroom, or their district, that's a lot better than just putting out a canned email. And so I try to tell our story, how it will affect us. Be consistent and persistent. Every voice matters. And of course, we want to be polite. We are building long-term relationships with these legislative candidates, and they hear the negative far more than the positive. So we are always respectful, and I will tell you that Senator Coleman always responds. You guys find that, Zach, as well? He always responds, and he may not agree, but he will respond. So that's greatly appreciated. We have a good relationship with him. Okay, so I want to give you a COVID update. Anybody have any questions on legislative matters?
You know what kind of political forum is they mentioned on the 25th?
Yes, it's at 12 noon.
Thanks.
And it's over here at City Hall.
Oh, so that's what I read in the paper.
Okay, so our risk level has been at an all-time high, triple digits. I think our greatest week was January 25th after we returned. The K County risk level was 262.8. It has decreased from February 1 to February 8 by more than half to 101.4. Nothing to brag about. That means 101.4 average new daily cases per 100,000 capita. Now, with that said, I am telling you, the last school day, which was 2/11/22, last Friday, take a look at these far right columns between our staff cases, our student cases, and our total staff and student. We only had 20 people affected. 5 of those were positive cases, and 15 were close contacts. So that's 0.39. That's just 0.5%. So we are seeing non-existence. It came in like a wrecking ball, and it's just stopped basically. So at the beginning of the day tomorrow, we didn't have school today because it was a PD day. We only have 1 student that's out because of a positive test isolation, and I believe that student's at Pohai, so 0.02. I will tell you, I've heard of 2 or 3 more that haven't made the log today, but there will be some increases tomorrow. Here are the site percentages at the end of the day on 2/11/2022. So we only had 2 staff members at West and their husband and wife. So if it's a household, it's going to happen. I think their child had it. So 2.15%, and look, our numbers are really, really low at the sites. Here's what we'll start with tomorrow. it hasn't been that clean since COVID began, since we began tracking. It's the one student that is out on a positive test isolation. Here are our year-to-date weekly totals. The red bar signifies the cases, and the blue bar signifies the close contacts. And if you'll remember, when we first went into school, boy, we bounced up really, really high. And then we leveled back out, and it felt pretty good. Here we are, the 2 weeks off for Christmas, and then we came back from Omicron. And look at last week, it was just next to nothing. So here's the cumulative total of contacts and cases per site. And obviously, our larger sites have more cases and close contacts. And then I would like to propose a change to our return to learn plan for your consideration tonight. I will tell you that we have more and more opt out of masking every single day. And there's all kinds of research on masking, and the most consistent research I see is that the masking protects others from you. And if people aren't masking, it's hard to protect everybody. And when cases are really high, I would say any layers better than no layers. But ladies and gentlemen, our people fight hard keeping masks on students. It's to the point, if they're not wearing a mask, we are assuming they are opting out. So I met with our school nurse and our local county health department director, and would like to propose that masks are required indoors at PCPS sites during normal school hours, with opt-out exemption offered if the site reaches 3% affected by COVID. That's total 3%, close contacts, positives, and it's by site. So if there are no cases at Liberty, those kids don't need to be in a mask, because now close contacts can return if they're masked up after positives can return if they're masked up after 5 days. And we haven't had a problem with that. Anyone who is opting out, they have readily worn the mask for 5 additional days. If they refuse to, then the isolation is 10 days. So close contacts, we're saying 3% either close contact or case. And let me show you what this would look like. There's a lot of numbers there, but take a look at them. I've got the site, the total number of staff, and the total number of students. This is based on tomorrow's data, and it will increase. And what I would recommend is, if the chart is color-coded green, we recommend wearing a mask. That's less than 1% affected. If it's yellow, 1 to 2.99, we strongly recommend wearing a mask. And if 3% are affected, if that changes to red, and we have it set up on our PCPS website that way, depending on what the board decides, you either mask or opt out. Here's what I will tell you. Most schools have already done away with their masking requirement based on the injunction of Senate Bill 658. So I put some numbers out here for you just to see what 3% would be. So if we have another variant coming in, we won't have to come back and make a change if you approve this, because they'll automatically increase. So what that would mean, it would mean 40 staff or students total at Pohigh would take it to 3%, where they would mask or opt out. Okay, think about Pohigh. It spans 3 stories, multiple buildings on a city block. We have the farm. We have kids everywhere at Pohigh. 40's not a lot. East Middle School, it would be 12 students affected, and I'm not saying positives. This is positives or close contacts. West, it's a little bigger, 24. It's based on the percentage of students. Wildcat Academy, if 2 students were affected as a close contact or a case, they would mask or opt out. Garfield would be 6. Liberty
we talking students or students and staff?
Students and staff.
Okay, you were mentioning students.
Yes, students and staff. Thanks for clarifying
And
that.
that's positives
That's
not close
positive or close contact.
or close contact.
Because now they're coming back early with the guidelines changed, so, you know, there's some concern, could you still spread?
But aren't there very few schools doing close contacts anymore?
We are one of the few schools that still do close contact tracing. Some do it and some send a text and say, if you are interested in close contact quarantine, let us know. And that could be something I bring to you in another month. So I tell you, our contact tracers are still making personal calls to every family, and it's a lot. And you can imagine what they endure from phone calls. Some are readily, some are, you know, some are not too pleasant, and some are really pleasant. So we're still requiring, well, we are going to follow CDC guidelines. If they're a case, 5 days, come back with a mask. If symptoms are not presenting any further, if they're improving. So you can see the numbers, I won't read them to you, but we broke this down instead of other by central admin, maintenance, transportation, CMP, registration, and then other would be our substitutes, our contract subs. So basically what that would mean if we had one close contact or one case in central admin in this building, we would mask up. So it's based on percentage.
But the CDC has said nothing about the 3%.
The CDC
It
just
just recommends.
recommends masking. Yeah, we checked with the CDC, local doctors, we are still following CDC guidelines.
How'd you get the 3% number?
Oh, we just kind of looked at our square footage and the number of our people, talked to the health department, talked to our school nurse, what's reasonable.
How are you gonna do this, Ms. Shelley? Holding the flag, when they walk in that day, I mean, how do you, no, honestly, we go to very.
Well, this chart will be on the website. Our principals have access to it. I would say bring your mask to school, leave it to school. If we get to the red zone, you go to the red zone. We'll do it just like we're doing now. If they don't have a mask, we assume they've opted out.
And bus is still masking. That's
Bus is still masking through March 18th, so
that's
2020.
And that's even after school events.
That is.
Yeah, any public transport.
What does Amy say about this?
She thinks it's reasonable. She knows that we're fighting the issue but it's up to the board. Now, I know that we're on a downhill slide right now, but rather than waiting for the next variant to come up, we will already have this in place. Now, something that we talked about with Amy, and Amy is the nurse director at K County Health Department. If we see something, if we have several in a class that test positive, we're gonna recommend that class mask up. Now, we can't require it because it's against the law. We have to provide the opt-out option.
How does that interplay with your ability to close a class or
Shouldn't change it. At this point, most of our staff have had it. So they should be good for 90 days. I will tell you though, we had a staff member that tested positive again today, and it's been within 90 days.
This goes for this building as well.
Every building, maintenance, transportation. The only way I really wouldn't be able to measure too much is other, and that would be our lay coaches, our contract subs, that kind of thing. But we haven't even been close to, we've had one or two others out there. Then this is our safety protocol chart, and Betty, you might want to hit that light. The only thing that I changed, if you consider it, masks are required indoors at TCPS sites during normal school hours with opt-out exemptions offered if the site reaches 3% affected by COVID. And that's in the orange 1, orange 2, and red level. And you all approved back in the fall that at green or yellow level, there would be no masking. We would just recommend it. And we haven't seen those numbers in a while. So any further questions there?
Did we say anything with the nurses and stuff that's going to vaccination around the county?
It is increasing. 5 to 12 is still really low, but I will tell you this. When we call the close contacts, we can't ask if they're vaccinated, but more and more 5 to 12-year-olds are exempt because the parents will just screenshot us their vaccination card. So we're seeing more and more. Mostly our close contacts are household close contacts. And as you know, the State Department strongly recommends if you're a close contact to quarantine, but we don't have any teeth in that anymore, but we do with cases, with isolations. Mostly our close contacts are household. And our people that have been, some like the mom or the dad has been deemed as a case, they call us because the doctors have already told them that their kids can't come to school. So those household close contacts are our biggest numbers.
Okay, if this is approved, when do we start?
Immediately. Okay. Well, what I would do is I'd get a press release out, and right now, if you approved it, I mean, there's gonna be nobody in the masking zone. And it could creep up, but we kind of had a test going for a couple of weeks, and this whole entire last week, there would have been no one that would have to mask or opt out.
Okay, one final question.
Okay?
If we approve this, can we still hold firm from what we've said from day one that we're following the CDC guidelines?
Mm-hmm. CDC guidelines recommend masking. Now, if you're a case, it says masking's required after 5 days. You can return to normal activities, but masking's required. And that's our requirement too. And if parents say no, then hey, that's great. We'll provide distance learning for 10 days. Not one parent has said no. Even if they've opted out, they'll say, my kid will come to school and they will wear a mask.
In person, so important.
It is important.
I'm glad we have the option now.
Yeah, no one, I don't think anyone in the county wears a mask. Maybe, of course, we would still encourage that. Okay. That is it for me.
Okay, so we're gonna have to make a motion for the COVID-19 protocol recommendation from Shelley Eric. So I need a motion, please. Okay, Judy? Yeah. I need a second, please.
Second.
All for the vote. Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye. Okay. Next is number 6, consent agenda. Motion required for the approval of the consent agenda as printed or as amended. Board members may, however, call for a separate vote on any or all items listed on the consent agenda. Number 1, agenda with commentary, 2 minutes from January 10th, 2022 regular meeting, and number 3, consent/agreements under $10,000. I'm going to need a motion, please.
Motion approved.
Second.
All for the vote. Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye. Okay, action items. Consider and take action on the following district financial reports. I'm going to need a motion from A through N, and it consists of budget amendments, bond fund reports, booster club fundraiser requests, activity fund reports, and requests, and treasurer's report, ratification, and approval of payroll.
Motion approved.
All for the vote. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland. Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Okay. Consider and take action on the Ponca City School District calendar for 2022-2023 school year. The district calendar committee has a draft of the 2022-2023 school year calendar ready to be approved by the board. School is slated to start Wednesday, August 24th and end on Thursday, May 25th. This calendar includes 165 instructional days, 2 parent-teacher conference days. The calendar also has 4 professional development days. Thanksgiving will be from November 21st to 25th. Winter break will be December 19th through January 3rd for all students. Spring break will be on March 13th to 17th. The calendar has 2 snow days built in, which are April 10th and 28th. School will be dismissed on those days if they are not used.
Motion approved. Got a question on this. Will we have to make a change or modify the existing ACT contract?
No, our contract says that we can have up to 185 days.
Okay.
Second. Call for the vote, Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
I will, can I say one thing about the calendar? If we have a snow day, there is no time built in. We will have to make it up. We had, okay, so this last bout of weather, we did 1 snow day, 2 distance learning days. The 1 snow day, we had enough time built in because of the 167 days. We will not have it with the pre-K center. They will have to make it up on a snow day or make up time. And I want to clarify why we did distance learning 2 of those days. With our projects coming up, we don't need to add days to the end of the school year. As soon as those kids are out, we need to get started on Union, Poe High, and Lincoln Elementary.
Any questions or anything on that besides that? Okay. 3, consider and take action on declaring March 2nd, 2022 as Read Across America Day in Ponca City Public Schools.
Did we vote on number 2?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, we
number
voted.
3. I apologize, number 3. Okay. We just voted, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
make a
it.
motion.
Number 2 was a calendar.
Yeah, I added a little commentary after the vote, sorry about that.
Okay. 3, consider and take action on declaring March 2nd, 2022 as Read Across America Day in Ponca City Public Schools.
I make a motion approved.
Okay?
Second.
Okay.
Call for the vote, Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Okay. Number 4, consider and take action on the following consent agenda. It's for Adams Plumbing for a water leak that was at Lincoln Elementary, and the cost is $20,000.
We haven't been invoiced to that, for that, we opened the PO for 20,000, it won't be more than 20,000.
Okay.
But that has been repaired.
Okay, we have,
Do we have a feel for what it will be?
No, we're waiting on an invoice, but we do not.
okay, D, it's for Evan and Associates Construction Company.
Wait a minute, I'm not through with,
Okay.
we don't know how much that's gonna cost us.
They told us it would not exceed $20,000. We're hoping 12 to 14, but I called Brenda right before the board meeting to ask if we'd been invoiced, and we have not.
What happens if we wait till we're invoiced to approve it?
Well, it's already been repaired. Adam called you all and told you that it had to be repaired or we would have to shut water off to Lincoln, and our board member said we could go ahead and get them out to do it, so. I mean, it was the main
It's either
water
$20,000
line.
or it's gonna be less. That's why this approves. So if it costs more than $20,000, we're not paying it.
Yeah. It has not been approved. We're hoping it will be less.
Can I go forward?
Uh-huh.
You good?
Okay, sorry.
Evans and Associates, and this is for the snow removal, and it's for the equipment for front loaders, motor grades, backhoes for $195 per hour, small equipment, which is a skid steer, $125, and hand labor for $45 an hour. So, and then now we have C, quotes.
Okay, wait a minute, on B, have we received an invoice from Evans and Associates?
I believe it was $10,000.
Amazing.
How much?
No, it wasn't. We opened the PO for $10,000. I believe all 3 of our people, it was $10,000. There's 2 more on here for Sober Brothers and Ultimate Pest for snow removal, and I believe all were around $3,000. So we have lots of property that they cleared, and we're supposed to have more snow on Thursday night or Thursday morning or something.
We'll still have enough POs because they won't pay them. They're only gonna pay the to still have that, they'll have 7,000 left and hopefully cover it all.
From each one, yes,
Each
we have,
one.
fingers crossed.
Okay, ready? Next is for game time in Cunningham Recreation for playground equipment at all district elementary schools. The total cost is $873,382.01. It's basically saying that all our elementary is getting new playground equipment. It's getting redone, reamped. Okay?
This is additional, correct?
It's additional, and it's the big toy, and we've shown you pictures of it. It will be the hard surface, like at the Gathering Place in Tulsa, and this comes out of CARES Fund, and we can do this because prepare, prevent, respond to COVID, it would distance ourselves further, and our kids play outside in cohorts now. I will tell you, we're not seeing a lot of spread in schools. It's coming from homes.
Okay. D is another district snow removal for Sober Brothers. E is Trifera for 100 laptops and 60 desktop computers for teachers and administration refresh. The total cost is $3,840. F is another Trifera summer refresh and Chromebook with cases, and this is 1,700 Chromebooks with cases. The total cost is $448,800. Another one is G for Trifera, and that's Chromebooks for the Wild Academy, and it's $52,785, and that's 115 Chromebooks. Do we have any questions on?
Do we have that many kids in Wildcat Academy?
That includes the teachers, yeah, we've got about that many, that's our maximum that we can have.
And then
115.
teachers.
I would say right now we have 90 enrolled, and then our teachers, Delana shaking her head.
I was thinking there's like 85 students is all we had.
We've gotten some new enrollees lately when Omicron spiked up.
Okay. H is another district snow removal from all pest management, ultimate pest control management. So the pest control, sorry, that's where I was stuck.
They do snow removal too.
Okay, that's where I was stuck, and it's $150
Make
per
it
hour.
going too.
And the skid steer was $100. Okay, so that was with the other, which is what, you said 3,000? Is everything on this?
All total for this last event was like right at $9,000, and we've got, if you approve, $30,000 the PO's opened, up to.
Okay, and the next is quote by Vance Country Ford for a cargo van for our maintenance department. And it is a 2022 one-ton cargo van for the maintenance department. The cost is $33,924.
Was that purchased on the state order?
It was. And you know, we mentioned this in property and called our board members. We've already ordered that because the wait is like 10 to 12 months.
Make a motion to approve A through I.
Okay.
But we don't pay until we have the goods in our hand, so.
Okay.
Call for the vote, Mrs. Street. Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom. Mrs. Rhodes.
Aye. Okay, number 5 is consider to take action on accepting subcontract bids for the Howell restroom renovation project. And per construction.
I'm not going to approve that.
Go ahead and approve it, okay?
Had a good discussion on it.
This were just the additional bids. You approved it actually in December from the initial bids, and some of the projects weren't bid, so this is the remainder.
So are parts 1 and 2 still under budget?
Yes.
Did we have a second? Call for the vote. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Aye. Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Okay. Number 6, motion and vote to convey an executive session for the following process. To discuss the possible termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel on the attached detailed personnel report. To discuss the purchase or appraisal of real property. To discuss confidential conversations with the board attorney concerning pending claims and litigations. I need a motion to go into executive. Dawn?
Second.
And
Okay, call for the vote. Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Aye.
recited by board president that minutes of executive session were kept by the board minutes clerk and will remain confidential. Okay, consider and take action on recommendation for termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel. Then I'm gonna need a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Judy?
Call for the vote, Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Okay. 10, consider and take action to approve a contract with Sharon and David Krabs for the sales of school property. And this contract is for the sale of property of Braden Community. You saying something, Don?
Yes, need a second.
Okay, Don made a motion.
Second.
Call for the vote, Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Okay, any new business?
No new business.
Yes.
Need a second?
It's already good. We're good, we're good. Okay, good deal, good deal. Okay, we need adjournment, and here we go.
I need a second, I need a second on the,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought Judy.
Yeah, second.
okay. Call for the vote, Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.